Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday, January 7th, 2021 edition of the MMAOB Daily Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin, and I'm joined by my co-host here on Thursday morning, Mr. Marcel Dorff. Actually, it's Thursday afternoon for you, Marcel. You're over there in the Netherlands. Marcel, man, Happy New Year, dude. We didn't get you on for a couple of days now, and how's everything going with you, man?
Happy New Year to you as well, Adam. It's going well, man. I mean, pretty busy, although I have 1 week vacation. Yep. So, but yeah, it's going good. Not too much MMA, man. I'm really missing it already, but it's always the beginning of the year. But yeah, looking forward to talk some MMA with you, obviously.
Yeah, of course, man. And I know what you're saying, like, we have 1 more week left of no UFC, and then we got it back next week. So I'm excited for that, Marcel. It's kind of gone by pretty quick, I think, just because it's the holidays, but I'm ready to start watching fights again, man, especially like all the BS that's going around the world, man. You know me, Marcel. Like, I try to pretend that stuff's not happening. I just try to focus on the fights. So I'm excited about this year in MMA, and I'm excited about the card next week. But today we got a different kind of show. So obviously we still don't have the fights to break down or anything like that. But what we're going to do today is we're going to go through every division of UFC, and we're going to pick champions. We're going to look at the odds. There were odds released by Bet Online. You can actually bet on like pretty much any division you want and who the champ's going to be at the end of it. Some divisions are harder to pick than others, I would say, but it's pretty cool stuff. So that's available at Bet Online, like I said. So if you guys use that book, you'll know what I'm talking about. If not, I do have the tweet here from Aaron Bronstein, who tweeted it the other day. So I'll just pull that up here just for people to have reference of what we're talking about. Let's see. This one should work, right? Yeah. Okay, so that's Aaron's tweet. If you guys want, you can go to his Twitter and you can see it. I'll keep it up for a second here, but it's hard to see. I understand. I completely understand that the numbers are a little bit hard to see. Marcel's got it open in his background, though, so we'll start with women's strawweight, and we'll go through flyweight, bantamweight, featherweight, and then we'll move on to men's. But I just wanted to show you guys what we're talking about. If you want, you can go to Aaron's Twitter, or, again, Bet Online has it. So let's start, Marcel, with the women's strawweight division, like I just mentioned. Not the atomweight division, even though I know you want it, Marcel. And Dana White says there's a chance now, but we don't have that. We do have the women's strawweight division. So right now, obviously, Weili Zhang, she's the champ. Seems likely she'll be defending her belt against Rose Namajunas, but it could be Carla Esparza. Just looking at the odds, Marcel, right now, I mean, Zhang is favored to retain her belt throughout the end of the year, and it's hard to bet against her at this point. Like, I totally understand that, but at the same time, like, you want to like look a little deeper at some of the other fighters here that you can bet on. And one fighter, there's a few that stick out to me, to be honest with you. Obviously Zhang, I think, has a good chance to retain her belt by the end of the year, Marcel. But if you like want to look at some long shots, Yan Jinyan at plus 800. I mean, I think she's got a chance, guys. Like, I really believe in her. I think she's a tremendous fighter. We know Esparza is going to get the title shot. What if she can wrestle Zhang? I don't think she wins that fight, but, considering she might get a title shot, I mean, there's some value there. She's going to get a crack at it. And also, Amanda Rita is a plus 900, I think, possibly could be fighting for the belt before the end of the year. So, again, Zhang is plus 100. We understand she's the best in the world right now. I just think there's some long shots that have a potential chance to own this belt. What do you think, Marcel?
I agree with you on that, man. I mean, I think the person who's going to win against Zhang is a specialist in ground fighting. It's what I think. I think Zhang is pretty well-rounded, but if she gets really for example, man, Tatiana Suarez, when does she come back, man? I mean, she is a girl that I'm really high on. She's so strong on the ground. Everybody is talking BS about her because she did great against Ansarov in the last 3-4 minutes. But I mean, she's good, and but we don't know how she comes back after that back injury that kept her out for almost 2 years now. I think it's crazy because I think she's one of the best in the division, probably one of the biggest threats in the division. And for example, Amanda Ribas or Mackenzie Dern, specialists on the ground, are good. And you say Esparza as well. It's possible, but I don't see Esparza winning in a 5-round fight. If it was a 3-round fight, maybe she can win the first 2 rounds and she maybe loses the third. But I don't see her winning in a 5-round fight. I think Weili is too strong as well for her. But overall, it's possible, man. I mean, the thing is with Rose is also so all around. She's so good on the ground. She's striking is good, but I always have the feeling with Rose that it's really a mental game for her. Is she there at that moment? Listen, if the Rose shows up that fought Joanna twice, she's on. But when she fought Andrade for the first time, man, that was an amazing first round, and then she got dumped on her head and she lost. But if the Rose is on that we know, she can win that fight against Zhang. But it's always like, how does Rose show up for me? So, I mean, it's hard to pick.
Yeah, this one's a tough division, I think, honestly, based on these odds.
Division, in my opinion.
It's a tough one, man. Because honestly, like, I think Suarez has the skill set to win that fight with Zhang because of the wrestling. But is her neck going to be even healthy? Is she even going to fight for the belt this year? Probably not. Because if I'm her and her management, I would get a tune-up fight. There's no way I would want Suarez fighting for the belt right away. Rose, we have no idea what's going on. It sure seems like Dana White doesn't really like her that much, Marcel, based on what I'm seeing. And like I said, I think there's some other ones that are valuable as long shots. But odds are, I mean, and the odds say right here that Zhang's going to be the champ by the end of the year, and she probably will be, Marcel. I just think that, there's a chance that Yan Jinyan could pull off an upset if they ever fought an all-China fight. That'd be a great fight, man. I know you're high on her, too.
Yeah, she's good, man. And China versus China would be fun,
Yep.
Should definitely be in China, by the way. But I mean, hey, Adam, let's be real. You say Rose is probably not good with Dana. I mean, she derailed Joanna twice, and Joanna was the star of the division. She had she had the talking, what Dana likes, when you promote yourself a lot. And Rose completely derailed that, and still Joanna is a great fighter. And in my opinion, still her legacy is still the biggest at strawweight from all these women so far in the UFC. But she's not undefeated anymore, like they wanted to sell her like the undefeated, untouchable, And I think that's a big thing as well. So, I mean, I agree with you, by the way, with Yan Xiaonan. I didn't say her name, but she's good. But she's also the more of a striking base than how do you say that? Than a Hebas or a Mackenzie Dern, or a Suarez.
I think you got a great point there, honestly. Like someone that's going to take her down to the ground and try to submit her, and Dern is the best at that. So you're right. I mean, the specialist could be the one who dethrones her. But, I think Zhang could lose. I think she's really good. But to be honest with you, man, she did show some holes in her game in the Joanna fight, with her striking defense. She got hit a lot in that fight, and it was a great fight. It was a war. But, I don't think she's unstoppable, Marcel. I know she has looked at it so far. I think she could lose.
She doesn't have that Joanna vibe yet, that people are like minus 900, for example. You know what I mean? Or the Valentina vibe, like minus 1200. She doesn't have that yet,
Yeah.
But it can be in the future. We don't know. But right now, I think there are compatible or competitive fights for her in that division. And I look forward to it. I don't need Valentina to fight Zhang at this moment. We don't need that. We don't need another champ and that kind of UFC stuff or Bellator stuff that they love. Let her fight in this division. Let her show that she is the best at this moment. There are enough competitive fight for her in this division. So I'd love to see it.
Yeah, me too. So let's move on to 125 women's. And again, looking at the odds, Marcel, this isn't going to surprise anyone. Valentina is an overwhelming favorite to retain her belt through the end of the year, minus 400. And then you have some other contenders there. Jessica Andrade, Cynthia Calvillo, Lauren Murphy. Honestly, Marcel, unless she gives up her title and vacates the belt to move up to 135, I don't see her losing this belt. Unless she fights Zhang, maybe. Zhang could give her some problems. But, as much as I like Andrade, I don't really see her being the fighter who's going to give Shevchenko problems. I just think Valentina's going to be way too big in that fight. We saw Calvillo recently lose to Chookagian. We saw Chookagian get smashed already. Lauren Murphy, I don't believe, has the finishing ability to give Valentina problems. I think she'd be able to have her way in that fight. I honestly, it's minus 100, Marcel. But again, unless she just drops her belt some way, I don't see her losing it to anyone. What do you think?
I agree, man. Although I think Lauren Murphy should get a chance to fight her, But I agree. I don't think Valentina will lose soon. Also not against Andrade. Although I really like Jessica, she's really good. We saw it in the most recent fight when that nasty body shot against Chookagian, Yep. And she has that killer instinct, man. I mean, I see many people sometimes giving that body shot and they don't follow up, but she finished the fight 10 seconds later. So that I think it's a fun matchup with Valentina. But I agree with you, man. I would love to see her at 135. Plus, at 135, you can make Valentina against the randomie. You can do a rematch with Holly Holm. You can make her against Nunes the third time, man. Because in my opinion, which doesn't mean shit, I think she won the second fight against Nunes. I still think that.
Yeah, so, it was close, man.
Yeah, and her nose was rose, remember? So now I think she won that fight. So for me, it's 1-1. I know it's officially 2-0 for Nunes. So, but that's a fun fight, and it's honestly the only fight that makes sense right now for Amanda Nunes as well, I think.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong with that one either. I mean, she's going to defend her belt at featherweight, which we'll talk about in a second. But we're going to go to 135 for women's now.
Yeah.
And speaking of Amanda, she's an overwhelming favorite. Again, she's just like the same with Valentina, -400 to retain her belt through the end of the year. And to me, it's a very similar situation. Looking at the other fighters in the division, Holly Holm is next up. We saw her get knocked out 2 or 2 years ago. Germaine Durandamy, I was at the second fight. She dominated that fight. She won the first fight by stoppage. I know Germaine showed some submission ability in the last fight, which was great to see against Pena. But I don't really think that I want to see that trilogy fight anytime soon. I'll be honest, Marcel. Caitlin Vieira, she's up on the list here. I think she's someone that could potentially give Nunes and anyone in that division problems, but she has shown some flaws in her game. The same with Aldana, who scored a knockout win over Vieira. Pennington, I don't see her ever giving Nunes a problem. We've seen that fight already. And then Juliana Pena's on the list too. And she does have the grappling ability, but too many mistakes in her game, I think, too many holes. Honestly, Marcel, again, unless Amanda – here's the question, right? Here's the thing that's interesting about this one. I was on James Lynch's podcast the other day. He predicts Amanda will retire before the end of the year, which would mean that she would give up this belt, meaning someone else would win it. So I don't think Amanda loses to any of these fighters if she fights them. But I think there is a chance she could say, you know what, I want to spend time with my daughter and my wife, with Nina, and just she's made a ton of money. She has nothing left to accomplish. Maybe she does hang up her belt and her gloves and say, you know what, I'm going to take a break from this. And in that case, there could be someone else who emerges as a contender like Aspinall, and you might be looking at Aspinall at +800 as possibly having some value. But it's all based on Amanda retiring or not. So what do you think of this division?
Yeah, man, I always say, man, Nunes is here. Then we got Holm and Durandamy, and everything else is downside that.
Yep.
So, I mean, it sucked for the UFC badly that Holm won against Aldana and that Durandamy won against Pena, because if both girls won, they had 2 new contenders for that belt against Nunes, and now you're stuck with Holm and Durandamy. Listen, Jomena Durandamy, she's a great striker, we all know that, but her problem is that she is pretty easy to take down, although she hates when people say that, but it's just true, you know. And the thing is, as long as she can't can't better that, you know, she's not going to win against Nunes, because we saw against Nunes didn't want to strike against her after round 2, because she hits hard. We all know that. Holm, Durandamy, it's the fight to make right now. And Aspinall, yeah, that's the thing as well, man. I think Aspinall is a great, a great fighter, a young fighter. She lost to Durandamy in that weird, quick knockdown, knockout, where many people said it was too early. I don't know. I'm 50-50 on it. But it's so hard, man. I think if you have to get a shot at Nunes, you should go through Durandamy or Holm first. That's my opinion, because if you can't beat one of those two, you're definitely not going to beat Nunes. So, and I agree with James, by the way. I think if Nunes beats Anderson, I'll be a little bit more rude. When she beats Anderson, she maybe retires. I wouldn't be surprised. She has nothing more to gain in the UFC. She doesn't have any more challenges, I think. I know, for example, Durandamy said on Dutch TV that she only wants to fight Nunes again for the belt. That's her. She wants to beat Nunes. That's her main thing. And I don't see it happening anymore, man. Who will Nunes fight? You know, there is no challenges for her anymore. And if she stops, we can stop with the 145 and we can add 105. You know, and that would be perfect. And I'm sorry for the girls for fighting at 145, but it's just not appealing to the fans, I think, to see them fight. It doesn't bring anything extra for me. You know, nothing against those girls. I love for them making a living in the UFC. No problem with that. But there is nothing in that division for me. So for me, Nunes, if she goes away, I think either Durandamy or Holm will win 135 belt. That's what I think. They will probably match them together. It's a rematch, long time in the making. And the funny thing is, the first fight, Durandamy fought kind of counter-striking, and Holm fought offensive, and that's a weird thing because normally the randomly loves to fight offensive and Holm loves to fight counter-striking, you know. So I really look forward to that fight. I know the randomly has no problem to do that fight again. I don't know about Holm. So we will see what's going to happen, but those are the two I expect to get champion when Nunes stops.
Yeah, that first fight was so controversial. That first off, that card was really bad. It was one of the worst cards. They didn't even give out the full bonuses. Dana White was like, "Screw it, I'm not giving bonuses to everyone."
Was that in New York, right?
Yeah, it was the Brooklyn card. It was Anderson versus Derek Brunson, and there was a couple other fights. Jacare fought Tim Boach. He won like 2 bonuses, I think.
How did you score that fight, Anderson against Brunson?
I had Brunson winning that fight.
Me too. Yeah, okay.
I thought that was a bad. Even though actually, I remember watching it at a bar with my friends. I had money on Anderson. He was an underdog, and I thought he lost. So it is what it is. The other fight though, the main event, Marcel, like there was multiple late blows after the bell. So I think that running that back is not a bad idea. Go ahead.
That card that was I think 208 or 209.
Yeah.
The week before that, I was ill, man. I was so ill. You know, I've been in bed for 5 days, and I remember my dad back then. He's like, "Dude, are you gonna watch tonight?" I say, "Yeah, of course, man. The randomly is fighting Holm, the title fight." He's like, "You're crazy, man. It's still 7 a.m. or something." I said, I'm gonna watch. And there were also several fight announcements during that card. I think almost 8 or 9. You know, so I was in my chair and I was watching. It's like. John Anning is like, and here are some new fights for the upcoming months. And it got like a whole, I was like, no. And I took my phone, I took a picture from it. It's like, yeah, I'm going to, that was horrible, man. I remember it so good.
Poor Marcel, he wasn't feeling good. You didn't miss much of a card, though, I'll tell you that. I want to get these comments in 1 second, but I just want to really quickly go through 145 women's because this won't last more than 30 seconds. There's 4 fighters in this weight class according to the odds. Man is an overwhelming minus 1,500 favorite to retain the belt through the end of 2021. You have Megan Anderson, Felicia Spencer, Norma Dumont, all ranging from plus 800 to plus 1,600. Dumont's not even at 145.
Sarah Farron is not on it because
she's not on it, but I mean she'd be plus $1 million probably.
Yeah.
So, like I'm not trying to bash these fighters. Listen, they're trying their best. Like they're at the highest level of the game, but unfortunately they're in the same weight class as one of the greatest fighters of all time. So yeah, I mean again, it's the same situation as 135 for me. If she vacates the belt, we could see another champ. But I think in this case, she vacates this title, they might just get rid of this division. So to me, it's either Nunes or no one. But there's no value at minus 1,500, so I wouldn't even play on that one. Let's get to these comments quickly, Marcel. We'll get to Marcus's. He says, I'm surprised Zhang hasn't been booked for another fight. We are slowly creeping up on 12 months. That's terrible. Listen, I understand COVID-19's obviously played a factor in that. It's been hard for her to get the fight with Rose booked. That's played a factor. But this is something I hate when the UFC does. They have a fight like that, like last year, and they blow all the momentum. They blew the momentum. It's been a year now since she's fought. So much has happened since then. I think a lot of people – I'm not saying they've forgotten about that fight because it was amazing, but they might have forgotten how good really, really is. I'd like to see her get back in the cage soon, Marcel. I'm hoping that she'll fight in that co-main event slot on the card with Adesanya and or maybe, sorry, not co-main event, the third title fight. I think they could have 3 title fights on that card with Adesanya and Blachowicz because you also have Nunes and Anderson. If not, maybe the next card, 250, 259, I think, or 260, actually. It'd be 260 in April, which you're saying maybe Stipe Francis, which is the next comment here. So, what are you thinking for Zhang? When do you think she'll fight again? March, April? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm hearing 260 is on March 27, by the way. So it's
it's 2 in March.
2 in March, what I've heard. I'm not 100% sure, by the way. So, so that makes sense what you say, man. I mean, but it depends on if they can get it booked. I don't know what's happening backstage. I know Zhang wants to fight, and the UFC is trying to make her versus Rose. And like you said, man, Dana said Rose maybe doesn't want, and then Carla Esparza get it. So I don't know, man. We will see what happens. So it's so like. Then they have this announced, and then this is in the works, and then at a certain moment it gets 2 months later, because how long are we waiting for Francis against Stipe? I know it's now rumored for March 27, but I mean, who says it's going to happen? Nobody knows. How long did we have to wait before we got any confirmation for Usman against Burns?
I know. I agree. All right, so let's get through this quick. We still have a lot to talk about. So I'll take Cole's comment. He says no one. He picked no one at 145 because he thinks the division's going to fold. Probably. Hey, Cole, how's it going, man? Daniel says, hey, Daniel. He says, I got an early stoppage on that card where Ricky Simone got an early stoppage. I think the Faber stoppage was okay, but the one with Durandamy and Ladd, I think, was early. Here's the last comment I'll take. How do you think, what do you guys think about Stipe fighting once a year? Francis is getting screwed over because he wants to sit back. Kind of sucks. I think there should be an interim title made after a certain amount of time. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but, Stipe fought in August, so it hasn't been that long. It's only, 5 months? Like, that's not that long. But and the reality is Stipe fights once a year. That's what we get out of our heavyweight champ. But I was thinking about this yesterday. Like, at least he fights once a year, Marcel. It could be worse. He could fight once every 2 years, At least he's fighting once a year. But I'd like to see Stipe more active. If you want to make a comment, go ahead. I'm going to set up the next division. We'll go to heavyweight. Might as well.
Yeah, because kind of sucks, because if you're going to do an interim title for Ngannou, the only guy that would make sense would be Blades, and he already beat him twice. So, I mean, who else? You can give it to Lewis, but I don't want to see Lewis in an interim title fight, to be honest. And we got Lewis against Blades right now. Right. So, and we have Volkov against Overeem coming up. And probably we get Rosenstruck against Gane. So, there is not much to do. And Ngannou deserves a title shot by now, So, let's hope the fight materializes and we get to see them either late March or early April.
Yeah, I'm just going to pull it up on the screen quickly, and we'll go through the men's divisions. We have 8 divisions, Marcel, so we'll try to get through them a little bit faster than those ones. And there's a lot to talk about. It is what it is. I just want to, for reference, this is what we're looking at, guys. Bet Online has odds for all the champions. We just did the women's. Here's all the men's. Aaron's got it. So we're going to go through the men's divisions now. All right, let's start with heavyweight, Marcel. Let's just we'll work our way backwards this time. So right now, I'm looking at the odds. Francis is favored to win the belt at plus 150. And then you have the champ Stipe plus 250. And then you got Jon Jones plus 500. You got Ciryl Gane at plus 600. And then a couple other guys, Blades, Rosenstruck, Lewis, Overeem.
That's crazy, man. Plus
realistically, bro, all these guys can win because it's heavyweight. So anyone can win at the night.
But Blades plus 900.
You like that, eh? You like
that's crazy, man. Plus 900. That they give Gane a better shot than Blades.
Yeah, that's crazy. You're right, Marcel. I don't agree with that at all. I think Gane's got a chance for sure. There's a lot of hype on him right now. We know he's good. We saw that throughout his UFC career so far. But you're right. Blades has proven like he's probably the best wrestler in the heavyweight division of all time. Like he's so dominant. He's better than Kane, I think. The problem is his chin. Obviously, he's been knocked out a few times by Francis. But overall, I mean, the guy is great. So, I mean, Marcel right there. Marcel's pointing at Blades. I think there's a chance. Here's the problem, Marcel. Here's my problem with Blades betting on him here. I don't know if he'll get that title shot before the end of the year. I think if he beats Derek, he might deserve it. No doubt about it. I mean, the guy's on a roll. But here's the thing. Francis is so backlogged now. It's screwed up the whole division. And then you got Jon Jones coming in too. What I think is going to happen, we'll see Stipe Francis. I honestly don't know who's going to win that fight. I think Stipe has got a better shot against Francis than people think. I think the odds right now, Francis is favored to win that fight. I don't know if I agree with that. We saw that fight 3 years ago. Stipe is still a beast. I understand Francis is like knocking everyone out cold. I love Francis. I love Stipe too, though. Stipe has proven himself in 5-round fights. So I think that he's got a really good chance to win that fight. The problem is the winner of this fight is probably going to fight Jon Jones, which is the guy I actually like for value here. I like Jon Jones at plus 500, Marcel. I think he's going to be the champ by the end of the year. I think he's going to fight whoever wins that Ngannou and Stipe fight. I think he wins that fight. I believe Jon Jones is the best fighter of all time. I think he's going to he's been putting on the weight the right way. We've seen the videos. He's bulking up slowly. It's not like he's just gaining weight like Jay Collier and John Vellante to make heavyweight. He's doing it the right way, Marcel. My pick is Jon Jones. What do you think?
Man, next time if somebody asks me what I think about Jon Jones, I'm just saying like contact Adam Martin and you know what I think.
I love Jon Jones, man. He's the best, dude.
Listen, man, everybody's always talking crap about what he did and all the things. But the dude is an absolute beast athlete, man. I think, honestly, if Jon Jones would have done soccer, baseball, basketball, he would be good. You know, he's that once in a lifetime athlete that can be so good. And I think he would be perfect at heavyweight, man. Honestly, 2 years ago, I expected him to go to heavyweight and to win the belt over there. So now he's going to heavyweight. Probably because we don't know if Adesanya wins against Blachowicz. There's maybe a chance they want to do Adesanya against Jon Jones at 205 still, but that wouldn't make sense to me that Jones can let that 205 belt go. But yeah, man, I like Jones as well here. I mean, Stipe against Francis. The thing is also people don't give Stipe enough credit, man. I mean, the dude fought Francis before, he beat Francis before, and he's he's not a stupid fighter, man. I don't think he's going to trade with Francis. He felt the power in the first round the first time, so he's probably going to fight smart. And listen, if Francis lands, it might be over, But probably the winner of that one will fight Jon Jones. Yeah, I agree with you. Now I maybe see why Blades is that plus, what was that, plus 900?
Plus 900, yeah.
Because if they have Ngannou as the favorite, we will probably not see a third fight between Ngannou and Blades, because Blades lost 2 against him already. Mm-hmm. So then I see the odds maybe more. But yeah, I'm with you, man. I think Jones beats both Stipe and Ngannou. Yeah. I think Ngannou is very powerful, but Jones always can adjust to the strength of an opponent. I think he's a smart fighter. People don't give him credit for it, and people are like, Jones is on the, how do you say that? He is, sorry,
declining.
Yeah, he's declining. How he fought against Dominic Reyes and Thiago Santos, but I think Jon Jones didn't saw them as proper challenges, which is stupid, but that's how I think. I think Jones didn't saw them as challenges and was like, I'm going to beat those 2 guys, another 2 belts in my pocket. But for heavyweight, there's a challenge for him, and then I think we will see the Jon Jones we all know back, and that's why I also would pick Jon Jones here.
That's good. So I'm glad we're on the same page. I like the value there. Just want to get this comment quick. Daniel says Dana's trying to Chris Cyber Rose. He's so tiresome. Yeah, Dana, you gotta love him or hate him. I'll say that. All right, let's go to light heavyweight, Marcel. I mean, the divisions Jon Jones used to be at. So right now, obviously, Blachowicz is the champ. Looking at the odds, Adesanya right now is actually favored to win the belt and retain it by the end of next year, plus 175, which isn't surprising because he is favored right now to beat Blachowicz at UFC 259. And then I'm looking at the list, and next up is Jon Jones, which doesn't make sense to me. Like, I understand some people think that maybe he's going to stay at 205 to fight Izzy if he wins. I don't think so at this point, Marcel. Like, he's already said, I'm moving up to heavyweight. Like, he's posting videos every week of him bulking up. So I think he's going to move up, and I would take him off this list. So to me, I'm looking at it, and I mean, listen, Adesanya has a really good chance to beat Blachowicz. We all know that. We don't know how good he is. But I think Jon, people sleep on him a little bit, plus 400. He could win that fight. And then you got Glover at plus 600. I think he's got a chance. Rakic is another guy at plus 650. He's really good. The other guys, I don't know. Reyes, I don't really see him winning the belt this year. Santos, same thing. Yuri's interesting at plus 1,400. Yuri's really good. Maybe he does it. But I don't know, Marcel. Everyone keeps telling me Adesanya's going to destroy Blachowicz, right? And I like to use my own brain, but everyone keeps telling me he's going to destroy him, and I'm like, careful, because every time we bet against Jon, he wins. He gets the upset. How many times has he got upsets in the UFC, Marcel? It's crazy, right? So I'm not 100% with people that are thinking he's going to get swept out of the octagon, Blachowicz. I think he's got a chance to win that fight. So this division's interesting. I think there's possibly some of these long shots you could take a shot on, like Glover, Rakic, or Yuri. Just because I'm not 100% sold on Izzy being the champion of this division. So what do you think, Marcel?
Yeah, as a purist, I don't hope Adesanya wins, obviously, because then we have 2 divisions. How do you say that? Have 2 divisions.
And held up, I guess?
Yeah, held up, yeah. So, listen, man, Adesanya can say, for example, I will fight 3 times in a year. You can't say that, man. That can happen stuff that is out of your hands, So, I like Yuri as well. By the way, he proved that he is solid, man. Against Ozdemir, he looked pretty good in that fight, I think. He now is supposed to fight Dominic Reyes. If he wins that fight, he's definitely in the mix to get to a line for the title. Yep. Santos against Rakic. I don't think... Listen, man, Santos... I don't know, man. He lost to Glover, Yep. And if he loses again against Rakic, which is possible... Rakic is also in the mix, Yep. If he wins against Rakic, he is still behind Glover at this moment. So I don't see him getting that title shot next year.
This year?
This year. Man, I'm still thinking 2000.
I know, so was I a few years ago,
this year. So, it's hard, man. If I had to... man, I honestly think that Adesanya beats Blachowicz, to be honest. I don't hope it. Nothing against Adesanya. I just don't like to have 2 divisions held up. But I think that's going to happen, and they probably will try to make Adesanya Jones. But if Jones wants to come back to 205, I don't know, like you said, so that's hard. Man, I like Adesanya against Prohaska as well, man. Would be a fun fight, I think. But he has to beat Reyes first, And so it's hard to say, but if you ask me who would be the most, which one makes the most sense to me, I would go either Adesanya, Prohaska, Rakic, those three, I see those three making big steps in 2021.
Yeah, I kind of like Rocket here just for a bet. So remember, this is not necessarily like 100% who we think, because we're playing the odds a little bit too right now. I think at plus 650, Marcel, and here's why. Because just saying Izzy or Jan gets hurt, who's going to move up to take that spot in the main card in the main event? Probably Rakic, right? Because he's fighting Santos on the prelims of that pay-per-view. So maybe they'll just rebook it for another card. But I think if someone gets hurt or COVID-19, you could see Rakic get elevated, which would give him a good chance to actually win the belt because he'd have a shot at it. So I think he's got some value. And honestly, how can we sleep on Glover? I had him at plus 200 against Santos in the last fight, Marcel. He won that fight. The guy's a money-making machine, 5 straight wins. Don't count out Mr. Old Man Glover. I think he's still got a chance to a plus 600.
I love Glover, man, but I don't think the UFC is going to give him that title shot, man. That's the problem.
Yeah, the problem is, first, I mean, listen, he's 41, right? So they don't really see him being like a marketable guy for that long. He deserves it based on what he's did. I was actually kind of pissed off when Adesanya got the shot, I'll be honest with you. But at the end of the day, it's not something I can control, Marcel. So, like, why worry about it? I just question what they're going to do with the Glover. Like, at this point, does he wait for Rakic to see if he wins, or is he just waiting to see what happens with this fight? Like, he has to wait till March to see what happens, and then the winner might not be ready to go for 6 months after if they get hurt in the fight. So it's hard to say, man. But yeah,
but why worry about it? Because we're purists, man, and we love
you're right.
But I said the same thing on Twitter last time when they gave Cody Garbrandt the fight against Davison Figueiredo. I was like, listen, man, there are 3 contenders more deserving, and then people going to reply to me like, yeah, but it's a business. Blah. I'm like, I know, man. Should I hit you with a bet or something? I'm not stupid. I know that, but I don't have to. How do you say that? I don't have to promote the UFC way of thinking. I'm not on the payroll. Yeah, so I don't have to promote that kind of stuff. You know,
love it, man. I love it. Dude. You speak from the heart. I love it. I agree with you. I just I shrug my shoulders because, it's the fight's booked. Like, we can't do anything right now.
True.
I think people could have made noise when he said it initially. I think that was when you could have messaged Dana and been like, yo, what the hell, man? Like, get Glover the shot. But not at this point, Marcel. It's too far gone. Let me get some comments, Marcel. We have half an hour left. We're gonna grind through the rest of the divisions. Let me get these comments. Stray Wager, what's going on, man? He says Rakic is willing to grind out, fighting smarter. He's a handful for anyone. Yeah, I mean, we saw that in the Smith fight. I'd like to see him get a finish in that fight, but it doesn't matter. Cole says we saw Adesanya get rocked against Gastelum. Lovis has a lot more power in Gastelum. The legendary Polish power could do it. It's possible. Daniel says Blades and Glover similar, stand a good chance of winning the fight, but are victims on the commercial side of things. That's a good point. I like this point here. So true. Exactly what Marcel just said. It's a great point there by Daniel. And Sander has a question from us. What about Volkov Jones? Jones probably beats him. He can make it pretty rough. Volkov's fighting Overeem in like a couple of weeks. He's actually favored to win that fight, which surprises me. I think Overeem should be favored, but I think Volkov would be actually a good tune-up fight for Jones at heavyweight. I actually wanted to see him get a tune-up fight, but it looks like they're just going to give him a title shot. All right, Marcel, let's get to the next division. A lot to go to, so let's just get to it. Middleweight, and looking at the odds right now, Adesanya is still favored to win, to retain his belt through the end of the year at minus 150. Next up, Whitaker plus 350, Vettori plus 600, Cannonier plus 900, Till plus 1,000, Costa plus 1,200, Brunson plus 1,400, Kamaev plus 1,600, Holland plus 2,000. I'll start right away. There's no value on Adesanya at minus 150 because there's a good chance if he wins that fight at 205 against Jan, he just vacates his belt 185. I think he wins the 205, Marcel. There's no chance he ever goes back. Loses, yes, I think he'll go back. He wins, no, I don't see it happening. So I right away, laying juice on that, that's a bad call, I think. And then you look at some of the other guys. I mean, there's some really good fighters. Like Whitaker is obviously great, but Vittori's look sharp. I think Kamaev, possibly people love this guy. He's got a chance. And Kevin Holland is a huge long shot. It's possible. So this is another kind of tough division because it all depends on what Izzy does. So what are you thinking here? What are you seeing for value?
Yeah, for value, of course. The thing is with Chimaev, he wants the welterweight belt, right? And not the middleweight belt at this moment. Yeah, he wants both, but he's going for the welterweight one. So I wouldn't put my money on that one. Vettori is interesting if Adesanya goes away in that division plus 600. But I have one of the few rules I have in MMA. You never bet against Robert Whitaker. So he's solid. stand up, ground game is good. So I would never bet against Robert Whitaker against any of these guys. Yeah, Adesanya, and even then in the rematch, I don't know, man. I don't think Whitaker did fight very well in the first fight, but maybe he can do in the second. If Adesanya comes back to middleweight, I don't know. If you say he doesn't come back if he wins the title at 205, I don't think he will come back because I think he will win the title at 205. For me, I would go Whitaker any day. If not, Vettori is a good outsider, and even Hermanson. Hermanson is not even on the list.
He's not on the list. Yeah, I'm surprised by that. He's ranked pretty high. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, but he's good as well, man. He fought a tough fight against Vettori, but he's a good fighter. And listen, Holland, man, we have to see Holland against better competition. Yeah, that's not his fault, but we have to see him still against the best in the division. His best win is against Jacare Souza, and it is against a Jacare that isn't the Jacare from 5 years ago anymore. So we have to see him against better competition before we can put them in that spot, in my opinion.
I mean, I agree 100%, Marcel. I mean, you're dead on with that. Like, I love Kevin Holland. I pick him every fight. Like, during this win streak, I've been like, bet on this guy, bet on him. And I loved him as a dog against Jacare. I couldn't believe that those odds were like that. But I think he's got a tough fight against Brunson, honestly. Like, that's a tough fight for him, and people think he's going to win, and everyone's telling me I'm crazy now. I'm the guy who's on him, like, from the beginning. I love him, and he's got a long reach, and he's young, and he's dangerous everywhere. But just stylistically, you got to look at fights, and Brunson's got that ability to, like, make fights boring, Marcel, and grind guys out and make them look bad, like Ed, like Heinisch. What were you going to say?
Yeah. For some reason, people hate Brunson, man. I don't
know why.
They call him Bumson as well. I don't know why. Yeah. Indeed, the funny thing is, he doesn't have a nickname anymore. But when he had a nickname, it was the Blanket. So he doesn't have it anymore.
Here's the thing: when he came into the UFC, he was super boring. Like when he had that fight with Chris Lieben on the Kane and JDS card, that fight was terrible. It was a really bad fight. So people thought he was boring. Then he loses to Yoel. He had some fights where he won, but overall, the guy's been a beast, and he knocks everyone out too. Like, he's a monster, man. People don't realize how good Brunson is. His chin's his problem, obviously, Marcel, but he's good.
And he got that Cisco haircut now. So
yeah, I love it. I like him. I like the guy. Honestly, I do. All right, let's go to welterweight now. Let's do welterweight, Marcel. Usman right now is the champ, and right now he is favored to retain the belt once again. Most of the odds-on leaders here are like the champs already. So no surprise, plus 100. Then you look at the other competition here. You got Covington plus 300, Burns plus 550, Kamaev plus 650, Edwards plus 800, Masvidal plus 900, Stephen Thompson plus 1,000. And some reason Conor McGregor's there plus 1,600. I mean, I don't see that one. Marcel, I got to be honest. This is another division where I think it's possible Usman could lose. I know he's been unstoppable. Guys, he's an incredible fighter. This division is ridiculous. Look how good these fighters are. On any given day, someone can lose. I'm not convinced he even beats Burns. I think that's a really tough fight for him. Like, that's a tough fight. So I right away, even money on Usman, I'm not playing that. I'm not looking at. I'm looking at Covington. I'm looking at Burns. I'm looking at Chimaev. I think all these guys have possible chances to be the champ. I would rather bet on them as bigger dogs than playing. It's even money, but still on Usman. What do you think, Marcel?
Want to hear something funny?
Sure.
I think if Usman maybe wins against Burns, he moves up to middleweight. If Adesanya stays at 205, so that wouldn't surprise me, honestly.
Wow, I haven't even heard about that. Really, you heard something, right?
Yeah, because I know they don't want to fight each other, Adesanya and Usman, but I know Usman might want to go to middleweight. And if Adesanya moves, there is place for Usman at middleweight. And at welterweight, man, call me crazy, but I won't be surprised if Khamzat Chimaev ends up with the belt at the end of the year. I mean, the dude, the thing is, people are like, he hasn't fought anybody yet, anybody significant. And I can't disagree on that, I definitely agree on that. But the way he fights, the way I saw him fight in the other organization as well, shows me that he is very good, either standing and on the ground. He's very good. The thing is, certain fighters have something about them when you see them, this guy is going to be a champion. I had that with Jon Jones when I saw him first fight. I had that with Hanan Barrow when I saw him first fight. He is on a huge declining, I know right now, but when he was good, I saw it on him. I said, this guy's going to be champion 100%.
Yeah.
I saw it with another guy I can't get the name right now from, but I see it with him as well. And maybe not 2021, maybe 2022, but it's definitely a good. It's definitely a good. How do you say it? A good possibility. Plus 650.
Yeah.
You can do it, man. Why not?
Yeah, because the thing is, if he beats Edwards when they rebook the fight, he'll probably get the title shot, right? They would give it to him, so he's got a chance. I'm with you. I just want to see more. Stephen Thompson said the same thing. He's like, I think this guy's good, but I want to see more, and I want to see more.
Yeah, I agree.
Quickly for Usman, just a small anecdote here. Like, he's good, man. Here's the thing about Usman. He's turning 34 in May. Like, he's almost 34. Like, he's not super young. And here's the other thing you said with the middleweight thing. I didn't even think about it, but yeah, actually, when I was in Brazil last year, 2 years ago, and I saw that the Andrade and Namajunas card, when we were going back in the plane, me and Aaron, Usman was in the airport with us. We were talking for a second. I'm 6'3". I swear to God, he was taller than me, and apparently he's 6'0". It says here. I don't know, Marcel. Like, he was huge. He's just a tall, big guy for that. Like, I couldn't believe he made 170 because, like, I'm a big dude, and he was like literally as tall as me. If not, he looked taller than me. I swear. But
you're 6'3". I
am 6'3". Yeah,
that's funny. Yeah. I'm 6'3" as well.
Are you serious? This guy looked bigger than both of us, Marcel. Like, he's a big dude. So 185 is not something that, like, I initially clued into, but I think you're right, man. There's a chance. Okay, let's go to the next division here. We still have 4 more divisions left. Let's go through them. My favorite division historically, lightweight, and right now, I'll say right away, Khabib right now is the champ, and he's plus 100 to retain the belt. But I think he might vacate that title. I think he's going to talk to Dana and say, I don't want the belt anymore. That's my prediction for that. I think he will vacate the belt, or there will be at least an interim title or something. But looking at the other opponents here, possibilities for the championship, McGregor plus 300, Gaethje plus 550, Bronx Oliveira plus 650, Poirier plus 800, Ferguson plus 900, Hooker plus 1,000, Diego Ferreira plus 1,400, Felder plus 1,600, Islam Makhachev plus 2,000. I'm surprised Chandler's not on the list because I think if Chandler beats Hooker, he might get a shot at the belt, possibly against the winner of McGregor and Poirier. Because I saw the DM that the UFC was sending out. They're teasing it as a title fight, Marcel, which wouldn't surprise both of us. So I think that McGregor and Poirier probably will be for the belt, but I'm not convinced the winner of that fight will remain the champ by the end of the year. I think this is a very, very just great division, and they're all so good, all these guys. Looking at the odds, again, I think Nurmagomedov wouldn't bet on him at all. I'm kind of looking at Bronx, man, at plus 650. I'm not going to lie, Marcel. I love the guy, man, and seeing him just dominate Ferguson like that, I understand Ferguson's on decline himself, but I think Bronx has got a great chance to win that title, man. But again, here's the problem: it's the marketability, right? Like, would they give him a title shot? He doesn't even. I don't even think he speaks English. I don't know if they would. Would Khabib want that fight? Probably not. Would McGregor want that fight? Probably not. So I think he's kind of waiting on a Poirier win. If Poirier wins his fight and he wins the belt, maybe you could do Poirier Oliveira again. That would be a great fight. But that's a guy I'm looking at. And I think Poirier too, a plus 800. Because I think Poirier has a good chance to win this rematch with Conor. I think everyone's kind of forgetting about how good he is at 155. So just give me your thoughts on this division, Marcel. I love lightweight. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I love lightweight too, but I'd be pissed if Conor versus Poirier is for a belt.
I think it's a chance, man.
That's definitely a chance, but I'd be pissed as a fan. I mean, Conor McGregor, I know, and people come at me again like, yeah, it's a business. I know, guys, it's a business. I'm not stupid. But Conor fought Donald Cowboy Cerrone. It went at welterweight, guys. At welterweight, his last fight at lightweight was against Eddie Alvarez, I think, if I'm correct. Against Khabib. His last win was against Eddie Alvarez. His last fight in lightweight was against Khabib. But I mean, Poirier, his last fight against Hooker was a close fight. I mean, I don't think that Charles do Bronx Oliveira should fight another fight before he gets a title shot, which they want to book him against Gaethje, And I'm wondering what they want to do, man. If for example, the winner of Conor Poirier, then you got the winner of Hooker against Chandler and the winner of Gaethje against Oliveira. So yeah, then you have 3 guys. I don't know, man. If I have to value on Charles Oliveira is huge in my opinion. I mean, this dude is so good lately. We saw him actually, I don't want to say destroy, but absolutely dominating Tony Ferguson. Mm-hmm. I think I scored 2 or 3 10-8 rounds.
Yep.
I mean, what do you want more? Gaethje was on such a beautiful streak and lost to Khabib. And I mean, Chandler and Hooker never fought Khabib. So for me, that's not a guy. Those two are not the winner of those two. Shouldn't fight for a title yet, in my opinion. Charles Oliveira, Gaethje. the winner of that one, I like to see for a title. And then Poirier against Conor, the winner of that one can fight for a title as well. So the winner of those two fights, I would like to see for a title. But I don't think Conor against Poirier should be for a title at all. That's my opinion. I hope Khabib holds on to the belt till January 24. So sorry, guys, I don't like that right now. So that's my opinion. But if I have to put value, like you said, Charles Oliveira, definitely, man. I think he has a good shot at getting winning the title if he gets a chance from the UFC to fight for a title, of course.
Yeah, that's what it's going to depend on. Look at Cole's comment here. Cole says McGregor Poirier is for the belt like Conor. If he beats Poirier, there's no guaranteed defense. They won't strip him. As him as champ is good for UFC. I agree with that too, Cole. Daniel says, "Do Bronx beat Tony so bad? Tony thought it was competitive." Yeah, I saw Tony's tweets. He thinks it was a different fight, and we did talk about the scores. You had 30-25. I had 30-24. I remember now.
Can I ask you something?
Sure, go ahead.
Did Conor ever fight in the UFC in the recent years where he had anything to lose?
I guess Cowboy maybe. Like if you lost that fight, it would have been pretty bad for him, isn't it? No?
We all know he wasn't going to lose that.
Yeah,
fight.
I know.
I mean, he never defended the belt. He always has something to gain in his fights. You know?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. They love him. He's a money making machine, Marcel. So.
Yeah.
But again, we're trying to think of it from fans' perspective, not just promoters, right? All right, let's go. We only got 15 minutes, Marcel. Let's go through these quick. Okay, we'll go through featherweight, and the odds right now: Volkanovski plus 150. The odds on favorite to keep his belt. And then you have some other challengers here. Holloway plus 275, Ortega plus 400, Cater plus 600, Zabit plus 700, Yair plus 900, Zombie plus 1,000, Stevens plus 1,400. Not sure why he's even on the list. Emmett plus 1,600, Yusuf plus 2,000. I love that guy, but don't think he'll get a shot. For me, it comes down to Volkanovski versus Holloway, Ortega, Cater, and Zabit. I think those five guys have a chance. Honestly, I think if Zabit gets his shot at the belt, he can win it. I think he's that good. But the layoff worries me. I'd like to see him get back in the cage, Marcel, at some point. Cater, if he beats Holloway, would have a chance. Obviously, I think Holloway as well. But I think Ortega, I think he can win that fight. Like after seeing the way he looked against Zombie. So actually, I'd probably bet on Ortega because he's getting the next shot at the belt. The other ones they still have to fight for it. What do you think?
Yeah, man. Ortega looked very good in his last fight, man. He's I always compare him to that kid on Karate Kid, that Robbie guy. He's like little Ortega. I don't know if you watch Cobra Kai.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Robbie is little Ortega. So Ortega looked really good, man, in this last fight against Korean Zombie. He defeated him on the feet. Who expected that? I expected that to be a striker versus grappler kind of fight. Ortega has definitely a big chance, and man, you know I'm a huge Zabit fan. So before he was in the UFC already, and people are really worrying about his cardio. His cardio didn't look good at all in his fights. I agree on that, but Zabit is also a guy who needs a real big challenge to get the best out of him, and that big challenge should be one of those top three guys, I think. Yeah. So I agree with you. If he gets the title shot, there's a good chance he wins. Ortega, Zabit would be, man. The Holloway Cater fight, man. That's also such a. Yeah. If Holloway loses that fight, he won't be in for a title shot soon, man. But if he wins that fight, he might get the third fight with Volkanovski or the winner. Or if Ortega might beat Volkanovski, we can see the rematch between Ortega and Holloway. You never know. So, I mean, but if Cater wins, everything is open again. So there are big. How do you say that? There are very many choices in this division you could put your money on. So I wouldn't say one, but definitely the top five you can put your money on, except for Korean Zombie right now. I think he's a little bit out right now.
I agree. That last fight, it just made me worry. And Yair, I don't even think Yair might fight this for a while, right? So I love the guy. He's so flaky, Marcel. Never fights, Marcel.
They wanted to book that fight with Zabit and Jair. I think it was booked for August. I think that Jair couldn't fight because that violation.
I know the whereabouts thing. That's know what? Listen, the whereabouts thing's interesting because it's like it is one time. If it's one, they give you 3 strikes. So if it's one time, okay. 2 times, okay. 3 times, you kind of wonder why wasn't he available? I don't know. He was busy or whatever, but I'm not sure. Okay, we got a few minutes left, Marcel. Let's go through bantamweight. No, it's you're fine. Don't worry. We'll go through bantamweight and flyweight. Bantamweight, Peter Yan right now is the odds-on favorite to hold his belt, plus 300. Then you have Aljamain Sterling, plus 350. TJ Dillashaw, plus 450. Corey Sandhagen, plus 650. Rob Font, plus 750. Garbrandt, plus 900. Cejudo, plus 900. Frankie Edgar, plus 1,000. Pedro Munoz, plus 1,200. Davison Figueiredo, plus 1,400. Dominic Cruz, plus 1,400. Jimmy Rivera plus 1,600, Merab plus 2,000. Right away, I look at Yan. At plus 300. That's crazy value. The guy is already the champ. He's unstoppable so far in the UFC. I love the guy, Marcel. I was at the fight with Faber where you knocked him out. We saw the fight with Aldo in Fight Island, destroyed him. I'm shocked Aldo came back and looked as good as he did in his last fight after that beatdown. I think Peter Yan's got good value as the favorite at plus 300. And then as some other long shots, I think Sterling's going to have problems in that fight. I don't think he wins. TJ might get a title shot this year. He would have a chance to win. But I'm looking down a little bit more at like maybe Cejudo. I think he might come back this year. I think Cejudo could be coaxed out of retirement. And I'm kind of looking at Frankie Edgar plus 1,000 possibly too. I think people are kind of forgetting how good he is. I don't know if he'll win the belt because he's kind of older now, but he just beat Munoz. And that was a close fight, but he got his hand raised by the judges. So yeah, for me right now, actually, I think there is value on Yan at plus 300 because I think there's a better chance than the odds are indicating he does hold the belt. But I mean, this division is ridiculous, and I just named like 10 guys. Also, Cole just says he likes TJ. He likes the value. What do you think, Marcel? There's some good value here in some guys.
Man, I love Frankie, but I don't see him get past Sandhagen at this moment. So
yeah, it's a tough fight for him.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a no for me there. Sterling is interesting, definitely with his ground game, is very good. But I think stand-up Jan, Piotr Jan is much better in the stand-up than Aljamain Sterling. I think Sterling has an advantage on the ground, definitely, but he should get him there first, Yeah, overall, if I have to look, if Cejudo comes back, that can be interesting for plus 900, but does he come back? I don't know.
Yep.
TJ Dillashaw, man, I don't know, man. TJ Dillashaw, he's getting older as well. He was always been a good fighter,
Yeah.
And I'm still mad at TJ Dillashaw for destroying Renan Barao, my dude. So
yeah. I remember watching both the fights. The first fight, I was with my buddies. I couldn't believe when he got knocked down early in that fight. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, I thought it'd be a wipeout for Barao. The second fight, I remember was actually at my old job. I was at work watching that fight. He just destroyed him. So remember both those fights clearly, Marcel. But I'm actually surprised Aldo isn't on the list. I don't understand why he's not on the list. They must have just forgot about him by accident. Happens. TJ Cole thinks he's going to get this shot. I think if he wins his next fight, maybe against Aldo or Font, whoever. I'm not sure, man. I think there's just a lot of negative feedback towards him right now. And I think, Marcel, there's other guys that are deserving. Aljo, Corey Sandhagen. These guys are fighting active, and they're clean fighters. This guy was a juicer. I'm not sure. I really like TJ. I think he's such a great fighter, but the PED thing really throws me off, man. It really does,
Yeah, and the thing is, he got accused. Remember when Cody Garbrandt said on Tough, TJ learned us how to juice. I was like, that's the most stupid thing you can say, because that pretty much you say I juice with him.
I know. I remember that too. I didn't believe it at first, but obviously it turned out to be true. Okay, let's go through this one really quick, Marcel. Flyweight, Figueiredo right now favored to be the champ, minus 125. You got Moreno plus 350, Garbrandt plus 450, Askarov plus 600, Pantoja plus 800, Kate plus 900, Royval plus 1,000, Perez plus 1,000, Dvorak plus 1,600, Paiva plus 1,600, Benavidez plus 1,600, Elliott plus 2,000. I think a lot of those long shots have no chance. Like Benavidez, I think might retire actually. Elliott would have no chance. Paiva, I don't think would. Dvorak could be interesting. I just don't know if he fights for the belt this year, but I really like that guy, Marcel David Dvorak. I really like him. Perez, we saw him get a shot. He didn't do very well. I don't think he would again. Royval's interesting too, plus 1,000, but the injury in the last fight, don't know when he's going to fight again. Cape's interesting. He's fighting Pantoja. I think Pantoja, is going to have problems in that fight. Askarov's a guy I'm high on, so he's got a chance. Garbrandt could fight for that belt. He would have a chance too. And Moreno, we saw how close the fight was. It was a draw, and now he's plus 350. So I don't know. I mean, listen, Figueiredo probably does retain his belt. He is so good. How do you bet against him, Marcel? But again, you have to lay juice on him. He's another guy that I think could vacate his belt and move up to 135 too. He's another guy we didn't, barely considered. But I don't know. This is an interesting division, but Moreno plus 350. I got to be honest, that's got some value because he barely lost the last fight. It was super close. Probably Fig does it, guys, but for value, Moreno and maybe Garbrandt, because he could get that shot. I don't know. What do you think, Marcel? Interesting division.
I said for years, biggest threat in the division is Askar Askarov.
Yeah, he's so good.
People don't give him credit for it because of that first fight against Moreno that got a split draw, I think. Yeah. And that's just a failure by Askarov by getting only 4 or 5 days before to Mexico City. And what's that elevation they call that? Or he got tired in the third round because the first and second round were close, and he got it on one scorecard, I think, both. And the third round he lost by 10-8. So
right.
the thing is, and many people had him losing that fight, by the way, as well. I think it was very close. He could have lost that fight definitely, but I knew he was going to beat Pantoja. Many people say you are crazy. He's not going to beat Pantoja. It's like, you guys, you should have saw him fight. He's very good, and he can give Davison Figueiredo a real big problem in that weight class. Maybe not in the stand-up, but on the ground. Everybody is like, Davison Figueiredo is great in the ground game as well. You guys saw him against Alex Perez, where he made 3 or 2. He grabbed the cage twice. And the second time he grabbed the cage, he made a maneuver that he could take Alex Perez in a good position for him, you know.
Yep.
And you saw against Moreno, he had difficulties with Moreno on the ground with a wrestler on top of him. And I think Askarov can do that. Can he do that for 5 rounds? Likely, but I'm not sure about that. But for me, Askarov is a very good value at what is that, plus 600?
I think.
Yeah, that's a very good value. So if I had to put my money, Askarov.
I think that's a good show too. So I hope you guys had fun. I mean, that was a lot of fun, Marcel. I'm so glad you came and joined me to do that, go through all the divisions. We don't have much time left. We have like a couple minutes, so I'm going to get you to plug yourself in a sec. But I just want to go through some news really quick. I'll just bullet point them. We talked about some of this stuff during the show, so it was good. Dana White did like an interview on it was like an Ask Dana, like AMA or something, and he said a few different things. First off, I mentioned this already. UFC's targeting April for Stipe Francis, but Marcel's saying March 27th. He's hearing for that UFC 260 card, so we're not sure now. Dana White also said, this is interesting. I'm not going to get a chance to get your thoughts on it. We don't have time, Marcel, but Dana was saying how the rankings are so important when they do their matchmaking. And I knew you'd laugh at that one, but again, we don't have much time here, so I won't be able to get your thoughts on it. Maybe next time. He also said he's not a fan of open scoring. He doesn't believe in it. I'm not sure about open scoring. People think it's going to like solve bad judging. I think it comes down to the judges being not very good at their job. Yeah, right? And it's funny. I wrote that on Twitter. One of the judges, Eric Cologne, someone had sent a negative comment in reply to that, like with that gif of Robert Downey Jr. rolling his eyes. And Eric Cologne, the judge, liked the guy's tweets. And I was thinking, like, these judges, guys, they stick together, right? They're like, they can never do wrong. There's some bad judges in the sport, Marcel. I think you'll definitely agree with me on that one.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Look at Glory. Glory has open scoring for one judge. And then the judge 10-9, 10-9, 9-10, 9-10, 10-9, 9. It doesn't make sense, you know? Even when you score an obvious round in 10-9 for a fight, or one judge has it 9-10. I always say it's not really politically correct to say, but I always say to my friends, you have 3 judges and there's always one idiot, you know? Yep. That 30-27, 30-27, 29-28. Like it's a clear 30-27, and there's still one gets a 29-28. Just annoying to me.
I agree. All right, just a few other things here. Dana White said the UFC is targeting Oliveira Gaethje, as Marcel mentioned. Shogun Rua retired for MMA. We won't have a chance to talk about that, but maybe
that's not true, apparently.
Oh, really? Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that, because I actually think that maybe he's got one more fight left in him.
I think his manager made a statement. I haven't read it, but it's not true.
I only saw the tweet from I think Dana, right?
Yeah.
He said he's still upset by the loss to Gane. He said it's like being the victim of like a murder or something. Like, I don't know what he's talking about. Honestly, he's got to move on from it. Bethe Correia had emergency appendectomy. She's going to be out for the next fight, and then she'll come back later this year for a retirement fight. That's a fight announcements. Andrei Arlovski versus Tom Aspinall. I love that fight. Julija versus Juliana Stoliarenko. And then Wu Yanin's fighting, who is it? Who's winning it?
Jocelyn Edwards.
There you go. Marcel, plug your stuff, man. Tell everyone where they can find you.
Big Marcel 24, Twitter, Instagram, MMADNA.nl, articles over there from my website with all the other guys. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Adam, thank you so much, man, for joining you again here, man. It's always a pleasure, and I hope we can do this much more in the future, man. Thank you so much.
Man. Like I said, it's an open invitation for you to come on Thursdays with Marcel. Like, everyone likes you, I like you, and you're just super knowledgeable, and it's always fun to get you on and get your thoughts on MMA in general. So thanks again, man, for joining me. Everyone who tuned in today, appreciate it, guys. Thanks again. I'll be back on Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. with Cole, and we'll be breaking down the Holloway versus Kattar card. I'd love to get Marcel back on next Thursday if he wants. It's up to him. He can let me know. We'll talk about some fights then as well. In the meantime, hope you guys have a great weekend. You guys can find me at MMAOddsbreaker.com, bjpenn.com, MMAratings.net, and odds.com. I want to plug the article at MMAratings.net. Top 5 storylines to watch for in 2021 in the UFC. Pretty interesting stuff. Follow me on Twitter at MMAdamMartin and Marcel at BigMarcel24. And I'll talk to you guys on Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. We'll be breaking down UFC on ABC1, Holloway versus Kattar. Have a good one, guys.